What is up, YouTube? I was about to go to sleep, but Riot just released Naafiri's champion trailer. I guess it's 1 a.m. for me. But her splash art and some of the concept art for her got leaked, so that might be why. But oh well, let's see the trailer. Okay. I saw her. Oh, okay. Oh, little dogs. Nice. Oh my god, what's going on? Okay, she's a mid laner assassin. I see they are trying to like recreate some of the effects from the trailer. I have no idea what she's doing. Okay, she has a target dash, kind of like a Kali. Dash that goes through walls. I'm assuming, yeah, she's going target dash. Here you can see like the daggers are the little dogs, right? It's way more visible here than in the trailer. Also, I haven't played League in 6 months, and I want to see if this is the champion that is going to bring me back. I assume that this is her Q, right? And if you hit her Q, then her E becomes targeted. Like, yeah, she E's through the wall, and then she Q's Pike. But if she Q'd first and then E'd, the dash would be targeted. I assume that's how it works. Or not. Maybe it's the ultimate, actually. Because she just used it here, right? Interesting. Oh, now she has 3 dogs. Now she has a lot of dogs. Okay. She definitely feels more like a jungler, right? Naafiri. Nice. Let's see the skin. No? No skin? Okay. I wanna hear what she's saying. Give chase, okay. Okay. So are all our codes just dog puns? Or I guess so. Oh, that was a funny frame. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Look how big her head is. It's funny. Animators really had some fun with her. I was kind of expecting it to be a dog wielding a blade in its mouth, right? I think that's what a lot of people were expecting. But I kind of dig this direction of having like the blades coming out of her body. A little bird. Little bird. Who is this? Huh. Who is she talking to? Has to be a mid laner, so maybe a Nivea? That's so many dogs though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this might be another one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dogs? Oh god. But they seem to all follow her, right? So they're more like voidlings than something like T-Birds, for example. I guess maybe a better example would be Elise's spiders, right? Okay, interesting. Okay, let's see this short that Riot also released about Naafiri.
Flee from Naafiri, a mid-lane assassin whose bite is worse than her bark. She's a dog, or like she's possessing a lot of dogs. Anyway, she spawns pack mates over time, which boost her attacks and abilities. Hitting champs with abilities makes them spawn faster. Her Q's first cast bleeds enemies.
This is a bit of a weird UI, right?
Second cast will deal the remaining damage at once and heal you if it's on a champion. Her pups will attack the first champion you hit. Use W to lock on and pounce to your prey. This pounce can be blocked by enemy champions.
Okay, so W is the target dash.
Dash and slash over a short distance.
So she has 2 dashes, damn.
Recalled and healed to full. Ult spawns a horde of hungry pack mates. You get buffs plus a shield the first time she attacks a champion. This all refreshes on the first takedown. Whew! Join her pack. Or
I'm guessing this was supposed to loop. Alright, now let's read the champion insights. There is no alpha, there is only the pack. Also, this is some very cool, this is a very cool art. Really digging the design. We've all been there. You just gotta go out of a solo queue stomp. No, you just got out of a solo queue stomp when you decide to go outside for a walk to get some fresh air and reset your mental. I don't think we've all been there. I don't think League players do this at all. It was a hot day and your house has gotten stuffy. As the sun sets, the warm evening gives way to a cool night and the streetlights begin buzzing away. Nobody's out. Odd for such a nice night. You make it to a couple blocks when you notice a figure up ahead in the distance. It's lurking in the sprawling shadow of an oak tree that swallows up the light from the street lamps. What am I reading? As you approach, you start to notice that the figure has 2 glimmering eyes. They seem to be looking right at you. As you creep forward, the eyes lower, closer to the ground. They seem to be aligned with the reach of a spine, connected to 4 legs. It's starting to become clear that the eyes are sitting atop a muzzle. It's a dog. Maybe your neighbor's golden retriever got out. It lowers its head further, a sign of submissiveness and uncertainty. Maybe it's scared. You inch closer still when you suddenly notice 4 or 5 other shadowy silhouettes dart quickly from your periphery into formation around the first town. Oh my god, I can't read. Your last clear thought hits you before panic takes over. The dog didn't lower its head in fear. It's getting ready to run. So are the others, and so are you. Big mistake. Creating the PogChamp Dog Champ. Okay. This was a teaser that was released a couple months ago, I believe. Before Naafiri came to exist, in all her evil glory, she started the same way as many other champions, a design goal. In the case of our new Darkin Doggo, the champions team had a very specific gameplay hole that they needed to fill. A while back, our champion design lead, August Browning, did an analysis of our whole roster and categorized each champion by role, class, and difficulty in order to find some opportunity areas for players. Game design Glam Riot twin Enzo Anderson reveals. He ended up finding 2 major holes, a higher skill tank, which ended up being Keisante, and a relatively simple and beginner-friendly assassin, which became Naafiri. I wonder if this is the reason why Naafiri's teaser, the last one, shows Keisante's notebook. Right? They were probably worked on at the same time, I believe. On further investigation, the team also realized it had been a very long time since they released a true creature champion other than Bel'Veth, who sort of straddles the line between humanoid and manta ray void monster. Yeah, I guess when Bel'Veth was released, like before Bel'Veth, we knew that they were working on a monster champion. And when Bel'Veth was released, they told us, no, this isn't a monster champion. So, yeah. This makes it seem that they only started working on the Darkin after Bel'Veth. In fact, there are myriad monsters in League, but the team wanted to find a non-humanoid with a more recognizable and identifiable creature fantasy. Makes sense? Something like Rek'Sai doesn't really fit into like an animal that you can think of. Like she isn't really some kind of insect, she isn't really like a dog or something like that. So trying to make something more recognizable makes sense, probably drives more sales as well, I assume. And after a few ideation sessions, the team agreed that the league was missing a real canine representation. Nasus and Warwick are close, but they are more humanoid than Hound. True. Players should feel powerful playing an assassin, and opponents should feel uneasy and fearful of an assassin sharing the rift with them. Few things strike the same level of immediate fear as being chased by a less than cuddly stray dog. Everybody who's had a bad experience with a dog knows that if you run, it's probably just gonna make things worse. Chuckles John O'Brien. Yep, that's true. Naafiri's principal narrative writer. Running makes a dog more excited. They match your energy. We wanted to create a champion who sort of called back to that experience. A dog who wants things to run. When Naafiri sees things run, her bestial instincts take over. But Naafiri isn't just one dog chasing you. She roams with a pack that hunts together, thinks together, and survives the harsh Shurima desert together. A pack that now shares its collective consciousness with an ancient god warrior Darkin. Okay, interesting that they actually call it God Warrior Darkin and not just Darkin or former God Warrior. That's cool. Early concept art of a pack of Darkin demon dogs. Okay. I remember chatting with some folks when somebody said something that really stuck out to me. Right Twin Enzo adds, "It's not one dog that's scary. You're not scared of one coyote. It's the pack. It's the fact that whenever your back is turned, another one is moving toward you." And so we started exploring stuff based on that. So how does a single Darkin find its spirit spread throughout a pack of Shuriman Dunehounds? Oh, okay, so I'm assuming this is the species, or as close as we'll get to the species. Like all other Darkin, Naafiri's spirit is bound to a weapon. In her case, that weapon was an ancient throwing dagger. Locked away and forgotten in a desert crypt. And after a crypt robber, that's probably the one we see in the cinematic, took the dagger, Naafiri thought she found her salvation. That the unwitting visitor might touch the dagger and expose his flesh to her Darkin magic. But he knew exactly what was in his possession. He took great care not to touch the blade on its hilt, so as to avoid becoming Naafiri's new corporal vessel. Right? Yeah, we also see this in the cinematic, like he carries the blade around the cloth, so not to touch it. Original concept art for Naafiri's dagger. Look but don't touch. Ironically, that reluctance to wield the blade would lead to his demise anyway. As the man journeyed back from the crypt across the Shuriman Dune Sea, he was chased by a pack of starving Dune hounds. They tore him, his horse, and all of his possessions to shreds, and the dagger found a new home. Now the Darkin spirit within the dagger has awoken within the pack, empowered by the hive mind they share. And a nod to the blade itself can be found embedded within the shapes around Naafiri's collar and on her packmate snouts. When people tend to think of canines or lupines, dogs and wolves mostly, they think of the old idea that those sorts of packs have an alpha, explains Ilan Kulani Stimmel, narrative editor. We didn't want to focus on the idea of an alpha. We really wanted to focus on the symbiotic nature of the pack. Okay. This is where Naafiri starts to differ from other Darkin in Runeterra. At first, she represented the idea of her spirit being stuck amongst a bunch of dogs, but she quickly learned that the relationship they share is what enables them to survive and thrive in the harshest of climates. She knew there was something that the Darkin could learn from a new pack. Well, that's true, because the real downfall of the Darkin was not the fall of Shurima. Like, the Darkin were god warriors. They could live forever. They could rule the world as they see fit, as they wanted. The downfall of the Darkin was that they were not able to work together. They waged war against one another, and that's what really led them to well, fall and being trapped, right? If they never went to war with each other, maybe the Targonians would have never intervened, and they would never seal them into weapons. It's almost evil, like enlightenment or letting go of your idea of self. But Naafiri is doing it for bad reasons, laughs John O'Brien. She wants the Darkling to become the dominant life form in Runeterra again. Abolishing the ego for evils is a means of getting there. Okay, so she's not a good guy. One mind spread among many vessels. Yeah, this was the idea that I got from the trailer. Is that this was what they were trying to convey. As Naafiri's footprints, paw prints, multiplied in game, Riot twin Enzo and game designer manager Steven Riot Raptor Ocker needed to make sure she still lived up to her simple, easy to learn assassin gameplay hook. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a clash, like having multiple dogs and having like such a theme of splitting conscience between many beings doesn't really scream easy to play to me. Okay, I'll check the Naafiri's kit in a sec. Naafiri's kit had to be powerful but approachable, and she should rely heavily on her packmates to help her secure kills. So, her other doggos, needed some smart new AI, finally. Like, when I used to play, the AI of the pets was atrocious. Like, if you ever tried to play Daisy and play Ivern and control Daisy, like, that was a joke. Making sure the other hounds behave like you would expect a pack of dogs to behave was critical. I mean, did they really need a new AI? Because for what I saw, they behave fairly similarly to Elise's spiders or Malzahar's voidlings. Says Riot Raptor. We didn't want them to feel like mindless minions like your ex-schools, okay, or Belvet's summons. We wanted them to feel like your packmates, who are helping you out, and like they mattered throughout the entire game. So what they did to do this, they make it so like they also react to your abilities? I don't... I mean, these are minions, for sure. Yorick Schools and Belvet's summons work as minions unless you hit Yorick's E. Naafiri is designed to be simple to play, but sometimes making something seem easy is actually really hard. So Riot Raptor wrote up an initial design doc for Naafiri's gameplay needs and looked to the software engineer team for help. Naafiri needed technical solutions to tackle a unique set of challenges, all within the existing game code and minimum spec requirements that make League an accessible game to an incredibly diverse player base. From Steven's document, we looked for similar features in other games and read some white papers on how herd movement behavior is done in other genres, explained software engineer Matthew Ride Shit. I'm not even going to try. Manino. We knew the packmates needed to path correctly, respond to attack commands quickly, stay at the appropriate range, attack the correct target, and of course, stay out of the way of an assassin's gameplay patterns. So essentially, he and the engineering team created brand new tech for Naafiri and her pack that is robust, but also malleable enough for any gameplay changes that might be necessary down the road. The main design difficulty was to bring the feeling of playing an RTS like Swarm, oh that's interesting, at your disposal into League, while also having this be a simple champion to play. Yeah, like RTS does not scream simple to play to me. Riot Shibataban adds, with the new tech, we landed on something between Age of Empires like formations to easily control Naafiri's positions in the pack and the quick to action movement mechanics in StarCraft 2. Okay. Art of the Animal. While the idea of a pack of dogs posed an interesting challenge from a design and engineering standpoint, art director Jem Lonwingy Lim was excited by the opportunity to work on another creature champion after creating so many pretty humans. Kiana, Zeri, Seth, Kale's rework, and Evelyn's rework, just to name a few. Okay. We picked a canine because that's a very clear creature fantasy. Yeah, that's what they were talking before, right? Making a creature that is more recognizable than something like Rek'Sai, for example. A lot of people own dogs, gamers and non-gamers alike, but we had to explore different canine archetypes and different breeds. During that exploration, Lon Wingy and the team found that there were actually many types of dog characters in pop culture and gaming they could reference, from Okami, Okami dog warriors, to the sword-wielding great Grey Wolf Sif. Yeah, I think most people were expecting something more on lines of Sif, like a wolf wielding a blade with its mouth. Noxian Drakehound with a double flame burge. Okay. Watcher Puppy. Okay, that's also interesting. I wonder if by Watcher Puppy they mean these dogs right here from this card, which is called Watcher of the Isles. Okay, Targonian Sun and Moon Retriever. Oh, okay, so this is a clear reference to Norse mythology, and that might be why we see Naafiri eat the sun in her trailer. Early on, the team wasn't quite sure what part of Runeterra this canine creature would call home. They played with the idea of a blade-wielding Dreadhound from Noxus, a Star Wars-inspired Watcher pup from the Freljord. From the Freljord. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's Watcher as in the Watchers. Okay, now I get it. Though this doesn't really scream the Watchers to me. And a Targonian Retriever with Sun and Moon forms. I would love this. I would love this idea. But ultimately, they grew attached to another one of Lon Wingy's ideas. A demon-like dog that was accompanied by its not-so-cute puppy offspring. Okay, you can see here that its back is full of these small puppies. That's cool. Early Naafiri concepts were a little too much creature. Needs more bark. That's when it clicked, and the team asked me to lean into this idea, but to go more dog-like and less demon creature. So I started exploring some ideas for a Darkin pack from Shurima, since Darkin were originally part of the Ascended. Lon Wingy reveals. This looks very Disney to me, like these expressions. And this mouth right here, or these designs, look very, very reminiscent of this design that was like one of the first concepts for Set, right? This is of a Darkin behemoth. And that makes sense because it's the same artist. It's Lon Wingy, that's very cool. That's a cool detail. So he has been wanting to make a Darkin for a while, or with ideas. That's cool. As Lon Wingy went through further iterations, Naafiri and her pack began to look more like a Darkin had made its way into a body of a real-world dog, only with some sharp allusions to her dagger form. She even created a base form for what Shuriman Dunehounds looks like without the Dargin spirit inside. I actually took some inspiration from African wild dogs. Makes sense, Shuriman is an African-inspired region. They sort of embodied what I imagined Dunehounds to look like, and I also thought it was interesting how they used ear signals to communicate with each other and stay on track with the pack. They're so cute. Look at this. Okay, so these are the African wild dogs, yeah. Okay. It's very cute. But Lon Wingy knew that all Darkin have history. Naafiri had a former life, a former form. So Lon Wingy added a small nod to that former life by giving Naafiri an earring. Oh, so it is an earring, what was in her dagger. This earring used to be an ornament attached to the hilt of her dagger by its former owner, and it's the last remaining reminder of Naafiri's former body. So this earring used to be an ornament. Okay, so Naafiri, before being sealed, put the ornament in the blade, right? I think that's what I'm reading here. Early art with Naafiri wearing the earring made from the ornament found on the dagger. It's a really cool direction. And you can see how this became this, right? The baying of the hounds. Now our Ducking Doggo had a backstory, a gameplay hook, new pack technology, and a killer look. But the question still remained, what does a pack of demonic dogs sound like? Okay, so this is the sound part. Oh boy, Naafiri was a complex champ to figure out. Laugh's voiceover producer Nick, Prof. Rincewind Lanza. From the outset, being multiple dogs pretty much required multiple voices. From a voiceover perspective, that's really unique approach. We knew we wanted to create a raw and animalistic sound without relying too heavily on digital effects or processing. This meant creating the effect of the old school way, by having the actor record multiple layers of the same line with different vocal tones and performances live in the studio. Big shout out to our voiceover designer, Austin Riot Pumapet Mullen, for coming up with this idea in the first place. When exploring the oral aesthetic of a champion's voice, Riot Pumapet looked at two main design elements, the physical and the emotional. Not only did he and the voiceover team have to capture Naafiri's many dog voices, the physical, but there was also the inner darking spirit that helped give the pack its shared conscience, the emotional. Naafiri contains multitudes. I truly believe Naafiri wouldn't be who she is without her actor, Morla Gorondona. Riot Pumapet says, she spent extensive time with us trying out different voices and performance ideas. The sessions with her were really wonderful playgrounds of monster sounds and explorations. And if you've got a keen ear, you'll hear much more than just monster sounds within Naafiri's voiceover. Each voice line was carefully constructed with a more human reading that carries Naafiri's sense of leadership among the pack.
What game skitters by, unaware of death?
Is this Elise? Sounds like Elise.
What game skitters by, unaware of death?
Okay, it's not Elise, but it's Orazi, which is funny because that's another Darkin, right? Interesting. This more human-like recording was then processed and paired with a second recording in which Morla went all out with the creature fantasy.
What game skitters by, unaware of death?
Okay.
What game skitters by, unaware of death?
Okay, now that sounds really cool. What a chance will the world have when the Darkin hunt as one? Okay, so this makes sense. This explains the Varus quote where he mentions Valiva and Zolani and Naafiri having all different views on what the Darkin should do, right? We don't know what Valiva wants because she hasn't been explored in the lore yet. We know that Naafiri wants the Darkin to be the superior species again, and we know that Zolani wants to control them all because she doesn't trust them not to die if she doesn't. Okay, here's Naafiri's splash art. Looks a bit weird in my opinion, like it's way too up close on the dog face. But it's cool, it's well rendered. Let the world hear our howls and know that death awaits. Passive, we are more. Naafiri spawns packmates that attack the target on her attacks and abilities. Okay. Naafiri hurls up to 2 daggers. If the target is bleeding, this skill inflicts bonus damage and bonus bleeding. Naafiri and her packmates dash at an enemy, colliding with the first champion hit and dealing damage. So supports can like block this basically. Naafiri dashes and damages enemies in an area, recalling her and healing her packmates to full. Okay, and then you have the call of the pack. This is when she spawns a bunch of them, right? Yeah. Naafiri empowers her pack and spawns additional packmates, gaining a burst of speed and vision and a shield when she attacks a champion. On first champion takedown, all effects are refreshed. On first, okay. And it seems that we have a bio already, so let's check that out. Or not. So yeah, it seems that Naafiri's bio is not up yet, so I'll end the video here and I'm going to sleep. Hopefully tomorrow it's gonna be up. See you guys in the next video.